I'm serious, but what I want to share with you now is some of the most astonishing things I know about Antarctica. Now, I know that, Cliff High is picking a lot of it up, and I can't say it. Cliff High and his Twitter feed and stuff is talking about Antarctica, Antarctica, Antarctica. At Branson 2 or 3 years ago, and I don't remember quite candidly now, but I made the statement that Mars and Antarctica are inextricably entwined. And you're going to be hearing about those. You're going to be seeing great revelations about Mars. You're going to see some astonishing stuff. And when Tom was talking about, Doug, the whole situation with Operation High Jump, that's what I detailed in Empire Beneath the Ice. Now, I want to talk to you about that empire because, first of all, Admiral Byrd was one of the most decorated military men in the world. And I'm going to read this so I don't blow it, okay? And I apologize for my eyes. I have to look off screen. But what people don't understand is this, that James Forrestal, the first Secretary of Defense, was thrown out this, third floor of the Bethesda Naval Hospital. It's interesting, Bethesda. The pool of Bethesda, were the first one into the water that after the angel troubled it would be healed. And we all know the story of what Jesus did to the man that couldn't drag himself to the water in time. He healed him. Well, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people don't understand this. That the OSS, Office of Strategic Services, I think, was the forerunner of the CIA. And because Admiral Byrd was the one that encountered the Nazis in Antarctica, in literally flying saucers that shot down some of the aircraft that were on the aircraft carrier down there, that was a full-scale carrier task force group in that time. By the way, somebody was kind enough, I think it was God bless Jamie Walden, but he actually knew somebody. I said, I don't care about their names, Jamie, and they actually had in their grandfather's diary the names of the five pilots that lost their lives. So this was in Antarctica. We're fighting the Nazis after the official end of the war. But here's what Buzz Aldrin had to, first of all, Admiral Byrd, then Buzz Aldrin, and then you're going to have your mind blown by the Jesuit, one of the head Jesuits that was in Antarctica. From the debriefing of Admiral Byrd, this is going to be in your report, by the OSS, which was also the CIA starting to form, on March 11th, 1947, Admiral Byrd was taken to a meeting in the Pentagon, and after some basic talk, the room was cleared, except for Admiral Byrd and two persons, one from the OSS and one from the newly formed CIA. The first question which Admiral Byrd was asked was as follows: who precisely did you meet in Antarctica? Remember, the official narrative is he said he met the king of the world or the master of the world. Now listen to this. It's going to be important for you as you follow, and I'm staying linear. The Byrd reply, it was Lord Lucifer, master of the world. The second question asks, what precisely did Lord Lucifer tell you? The Byrd reply, I was told that the USA government was to follow all his instructions and that entities would come to the USA government at the correct time and inform the president or others precisely what would be required of them. The third question, were you told anything else by Lord Lucifer, the master of the world? The Byrd reply was, I was told to give the message I just gave you, then remain silent, as my job was to be the messenger. The last statement from the two people, OSS, CIA, boy, does this sound familiar? You are not to discuss this with anyone ever. It is the most secret information of the USA government. Is this clear? Simply, yes, sir. At that point, the meeting is ended. Now, we've all heard about the different people that have gone to Antarctica. Excuse me, I've got to have some water. Thank you, Jesus. I'm not taking any blessings for granted. Here's what really happened to Buzz Aldrin in in Antarctica. Buzz landed, and he was taken to an area which contains pyramids, which, like the Egyptian pyramid, have precision edges, not basically stratovolcanoes. He then took photos of the pyramids, and then he was suddenly unable to breathe when the moment before he was in no physical stress at all. He goes to take pictures of the pyramids, and he can't breathe. He stops breathing. He was then evacuated as a medical mercy mission with no true public comment other than he had trouble breathing. He then tweeted a message, "It feels like evil itself," after which he had a second attack in the hospital, an inability to breathe, and promptly removed the tweet. Remember all that, ladies and gentlemen? His personal testimony to people upon returning was never made public, but here it is. Now, I want to make a statement. I could not know this. I don't know Buzz Aldrin, love to talk to him. There are people all over the world that are getting visions and dreams from God that they're on the wrong side of the fence. In other words, they're serving Lord Lucifer. And here's what he said to the people that he went into detail with. "I saw pyramids made of shiny metal like surface, which felt so evil that I could not come close to the object to fully investigate them. And as I think carefully about what I saw, I felt a danger to the whole world from the object and the entities who made the objects. Also, I saw one thing which I felt that I'd seen on the way to the moon, but I did not comment about it because it was some large cigar-shaped objects, precisely like what I had seen in space. But the objects were sitting behind the pyramids as if the evil did not want me to see them." Listen to this. There's a common thread here. "When I took some photos of the pyramid of the objects behind them in the area, suddenly, again, I could not breathe and passed out when the moment before there was nothing wrong with me." Now, here is critical because you're going to find out something very telling. "I knew that at that point," Buzz Aldrin speaking, "I entered a place of true evil and danger for the whole world. At his debriefing, Buzz Aldrin was bluntly told he was not to share this information with anyone or he would be promptly killed. Thank God God intervenes. Just to help you understand the entities who took the statements of Buzz Aldrin were one from the NSA and one from the, how do I describe this? The secret ruling government of Lucifer under the ice. That's the easiest way I can do it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is what's really interesting. The head of the Jesuit church almost 4 years ago, you can look it up, traveled to Antarctica in December of 2016. He met with Lucifer, and here are his comments from his own notes. "Your throne and the room are more beautiful than was ever told to me. I bless you, my Lord Lucifer. How may I best serve you?" Lucifer commanded, "I will send you entities to instruct you as required, and you are to follow them exactly per instructions given to you." "Yes, my Lord Lucifer, I understand you and obey you." Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of a puzzle. Two of the most evil witches in 2016, who made a secret joint visit to Antarctica to meet with Lucifer. Upon arrival to the throne room, both women exclaimed, "This is more beautiful and wonderful than any words could express to us, Lord Lucifer." They both bowed and knelt before Lucifer and asked, "How may we serve you, Lord Lucifer?" Notice the reply. "I will send you entities with precise instructions for you to follow, even until death, to accomplish the instructions." This is clear. They both said, "Yes, Lord Lucifer, we understand you exactly." At that point, they were taken from the throne room and sent to their plane back to the USA. One thing is totally consistent. In all the meetings was the words were short and to the point and not drawn out, but very precise and basically consistent across all the meetings. The Apostle Paul talks about even though we know the promises of God, we don't see them all fulfilled right now. When Jesus was tempted by the devil in the wilderness, he was taken up into the top of the temple, and Lucifer said, all these kingdoms will be yours if you but bow down and worship me. Jesus rebuked the devil, obviously. He didn't argue with the devil because when Adam and Eve sinned, that supernatural creation of Almighty God that they had, listen, ladies and gentlemen, they had instantaneous word of knowledge, word of wisdom, because God had created them. Obviously, limited in powers, they couldn't be omnipotent, omniscient, and what is the other one? Omnipotence, omniscient, and all-powerful. Maybe there's another one, all-knowing. Every place, all-knowing at all times. And I may have forgotten one. I'm sorry. This stuff really gets me going. But what the key is everybody that goes to Antarctica, and I want to make a clarification here. Do I believe that Lucifer's throne room, literally on Earth, is under the Antarctic ice? Absolutely. Absolutely. Remember where Pergamos, Jesus talks in Revelation about where Satan seats, where Satan is seated? The people that have told me over the years of what Lucifer's throne room looked like, how could they know? They've been there, I guess. They said, Steve, tell the Christians the deception will be so great by the beauty and the brilliance of the deceptive nature of Lucifer that people who look on him will just be astonished, as these people were. The three things they had in common, only Buzz Aldrin, God bless him, did not, to my knowledge, go into Lucifer's throne room. But the emanation of evil, and by the way, it's huge. It's measured in the hundreds of square miles. It has stargates coming in from all points of the universe. All points in the universe. People gate in and gate out. That means they come in through stargates, they leave through stargates. How many of you can really imagine this? And how many can really accept this? I couldn't until I prayed about it, until I started matching things from my past, what people had told me. And then the eureka moment came when I understand. Ezekiel 28. I want to read this. This is really important. Really important. Starting at verse 11, it's talking about an earthly king of Tyrus, Tyrus, and that's talking about the supernatural one, and you'll see how this applies to Lucifer. You remember the Lucifer telescope at Mount Graham? You remember luciferase and the enzyme that's changing men into monsters? Oh, and if you got time, just type in xenobots and see the life form that has been created in the lab using nanotechnology and nanites specifically, and they call them xenobots. And then, Doug, you were so kind in my book Xenogenesis, written, 7 years ago, to give me the box of chocolates. And again, my brother Will, God bless you, Spec Ops, just a great brother, was at the dying deathbed of a former director of the Central Intelligence Agency. I think he was associate director. And the CIA guy dying wanted to make his peace with God, and he gave Will all this stuff. And it's in chapter 13 of Xenogenesis. I think it's called Under the Rainbow. At that point, I said it was the most single important revelation I'd been given on the air, while I was on talk radio in my entire life. Xenogenesis, the creation of xenobots, adding a component separate and distinct from human DNA. If you notice the cover of the book, it has a flying saucer, has a DNA strand. It's pretty cool. Duncan Long, who, God bless him, went to be with the Lord years ago, was the artist and just a phenomenal talent. And a baby being born, the offspring of the aliens. Let me read this to you. Pray about it. Take it to the Lord in prayer. This has everything to do with Antarctica. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, take up a lamentation upon the king of Tyrus, and say unto him, Thus saith the Lord God, thou sealest up the sum, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. You have been in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone was thy covering. The sardius, the topaz, the diamond, the beryl, the onyx, the jasper, the sapphire, the emerald, and the carbuncle, and gold. The workmanship of thy tabrets and thy pipes was prepared in thee, and the day that thou wast created. Lucifer was a created being, but he's also, ladies and gentlemen, he's not an angel. You are the anointed cherub that covereth. And I have set thee so. That was upon the holy mountain of God. You walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire. Idiom for the different planets. Thou was perfect in thy ways from the day you were created, till iniquity was found in thee. By the multitude of thy merchandise, they have filled the midst of the earth with violence, and thou hast sinned. Therefore I will cast thee as profane out of the mountain of God, and I will destroy thee, O covering cherub, from the midst of the stones of fire. Remember when Jesus said he saw Satan fall like lightning? I think it's Isaiah 14. I'll check on that. But here's what I want you to understand, ladies and gentlemen. There is a cohesive reason that all the stuff in Mexico, all the stuff in Egypt, all the stuff I've written about, and by the way, I want to make this clear. The new DVD has been re-edited, okay? It's in stock now. Forbidden History Revealed, the Egyptian Present, the Americas, and the Pacific Rim, the Great Smithsonian Cover-Up. If you want to see my statement that real history is covered up and covered over, just like what's going on right now in Antarctica, just like what's going on in Mars and on the moon, you got to understand this. A gentleman, a brother of mine, I'll just call his first name Gary, and it's not Gary Cole, just to take that off the plate, was allowed to see the secret warehouses that are in the Smithsonian. He saw giant bones, but the most important thing he saw were all the Egyptian artifacts, in which, if you know the Grand Canyon, the majority of the features that are the biggest are all named for Egyptian gods. The Temple of Anubis, if you will. The Temple of Osiris. Isis. Isn't that interesting? I said, why? One of the most famous geologists in history, this should blow your mind, Dr. Troy Pewe, P-E-W-E, set up the Arizona, I think, University of Arizona Geology Department, used to take float trips down the Grand Canyon. The eyewitness interview that we have on this, nobody's ever produced it before. This is God. This isn't bragging rights. Steve, if you warn my people, I'll bring the people that know to tell you what my people need to know. So when the students started asking Dr. Troy Pewe about why are all these landforms, and from thousands of years ago, named for Egyptian gods and goddesses. You know what the most famous geologist, one of the most famous in the world, said? He said, for the interesting items that were found there. Flash back in time with me. I'll take you to a gentleman who was the president of Egypt, late 1800s, guy by the name of Nubar Pasha, P-A-S-H-A. By the way, this is all in this. He makes a request to the Smithsonian and the U.S. government saying, will you please return all of the Egyptian artifacts that have been found in the Americas, especially North America, to us, but with the giant bones and mummies, just destroy them. By the way, when my eyewitness was in the Smithsonian, and he's a Christian, you guys, loves God really, really, really a lot. Proof is in the pudding, too, in his life. When he was taken to the Smithsonian, he was shown the giant bones. He was shown Egyptian mummies taken from the Grand Canyon, being put into like a CAT scanner. And people who are security cleared from all over the world come to these secret labs in the Smithsonian. 4 floors deep, I think. Maybe one was 8 floors. And off of each floor was tunnels. And the tunnels, they're huge tunnels, by the way, were rooms with artifacts. The gentleman who gave my friend the tour said, in these warehouses, plural, we have one of everything we believe that's ever been on the earth. Maybe there's one thing they don't have. But what was more interesting, Dr. Troy Payway wanted, when he died, his brain to be put in a vat of whatever preservative, alcohol, formaldehyde, and be placed next to John Wesley Powell. John Wesley Powell didn't believe, or didn't want the public to believe, that's a better way of saying it, that there had been diffusion thousands of years ago. In other words, the Egyptians sailed the ocean blue, and so did the Chinese. And oh, by the way, the island of Maui in Hawaii is named for the navigator of Captain Rada, 250 BC, an Egyptian captain. The amount of intelligence, the amount of understanding. As you read the book of Enoch, you'll find out it was given. It was presented to mankind by fallen angels. That's what the book of Enoch pretty much is all about. And then the book of Giants. The book of Giants is already being, and by the way, these are just fragments of the Dead Sea Scrolls, but I just posted a story, I think about, a week ago, where they believe there are new scrolls to be found. And I believe those scrolls come under the, if you will, the admonition of Daniel the prophet, when the angels said, seal it up, Daniel, for that is, seal it up, Daniel, for that is for, a given time in the future. I'm not quoting it word for word because my mind's going too fast. Slow down, Steve.